Welcome, nerds and geeks, to another exciting episode of Nerd Trivia, the podcast where we delve into the depths of nerd culture and challenge your knowledge in all things geeky. I'm your host, Big Rich. Today we're taking a trip down memory lane to explore the early days of the internet. Get ready to be transported back to a time when dial-up tones were music to our ears and AOL ruled the virtual world. Before we begin, let me remind you how it works. I'll be asking 5 trivia questions about the early days of the internet. At the end of the episode, I'll reveal the answers. So grab your favorite tech snack, sit back, and get ready to test your knowledge. All right, let's kick things off with our first question. In what year was the precursor to the internet, called ARPANET, established? In what year was the precursor to the internet, ARPANET, established? Okay, remember, no Googling. That's hard if you're in the car. But in general, no cheating. All right. Got your answer locked in. Let's go to the next one. Question number 2. Who is credited with inventing the World Wide Web? Who invented the World Wide Web? Revolutionized the way we access information, connect with each other. It's amazing. Who is that person? All right. Question number 3. Do you remember the name of the very first web browser? What was the first web browser? It's pretty simple and straightforward. Do you know what it was? Do you remember that one? All right. I'll give you a minute. Write that down. All right, moving on. Question 4. We all send and receive emails every day. Do you know what the first email message ever sent over the internet said? Okay, kind of a quirky question. Fun, though. What was the content of the first email message ever sent over the internet? What was in there? Going to surprise you, probably. Makes sense, though. Okay. Final question. Question number 5. Can you remember the maximum speed of a dial-up modem in the early days of the internet? Putting your memory to the test here. Or just seeing what you've learned. Maximum speed of that dial-up modem in those early days of the internet. All right, that's the end of the questions. They're out in the wild. Organize your notes, clean up your spreadsheet. Let's get to some answers. Question 1. We want to know the year that the precursor to the internet, ARPANET, was established. Back at the birth of the internet. It was the year you probably knew that, right? 1969. ARPANET, which stood for Advanced Research Projects Agency Network, was actually a network funded by the U.S. Department of Defense, the DoD. Built the internet as we know it today. So if you guessed 1969, you were right. Or maybe you didn't guess. Maybe you knew. You knew 1969. Congratulations. Okay, let's go to question 2. Who is credited with inventing the World Wide Web? You know who that was? It was none other than Sir Tim Berners-Lee. That's your guy, Sir Tim. In 1989, he was working at CERN, CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. He was proposing a way to share information over the internet using hypertext, which led to HTML and HTTP and all the things we use today. So if you answered Sir Tim Berners-Lee, you were right. If you didn't, don't worry about it. You're probably in the majority. All right, let's go to question number 3. What was the first web browser called? Any guess? First web browser. The year was 1990, and it was called World Wide Web. Maybe not the catchiest name ever, but our man Tim Berners-Lee developed it so he could navigate and view web pages. By the way, they later renamed it to Nexus to avoid confusion with the World Wide Web itself. That makes sense. But if you said World Wide Web or Nexus, I'll give it to you. Good job. Okay, question number 4. What was in that first email message ever sent over the internet? First email. It was, I guess I'll just spell it out. KWERTYUIOP. What the heck is that? You guessed it. It's the top layer of a keyboard. QWERTY UIOP. Pretty funny, huh? 1971. A guy named Ray Tomlinson. First email message ever. Okay, question number 5. Final question. What was the maximum speed of a dial-up modem during the early days of the internet? Blazing speed. Oh, I missed that sound. It was so great. I wish I could do that sound. Early days, maximum speed was an incredible 56 kilobytes per second. 56K BPS. Not megabytes. Not talking about what we use today. 56 kilobytes per second. Do the math on that someday compared to your gig internet. Pretty funny. 56K. All right, that wraps up another thrilling episode of Nerd Trivia. Hope you had a blast strolling down memory lane in the early days of the internet with me. Don't forget to join us next time for more mind-boggling questions and fascinating trivia. Until then, I'm Big Rich. Stay nerdy.